Lauren's here, so I don't actually know how to run a show all of a sudden. Oh, no. I don't know. No, it's fine. That's fine. I was thinking, like, who's going to introduce? Like, oh, no. And then I almost froze.
It's your show.
And then I almost froze, and then I realized, yes, it's my show. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Geek Space TV. We are a nonprofit broadcasting studio based out in Seattle, creating cool safe spaces and cool games for y'all to watch. Mm-hmm. I'm going to check out chat and say hi to everyone. Ciara Coldrake, hi. Crit Witch. I'm reading again. Trooper, Iffy, Grimlost. Good to see y'all. Got some cool people joining us. So we are running, I'm doing a Let's Play. This is on very short notice because I really love this game. Of Sword Loser and Tool User, both of which you can find getting kickstarted right now by a local game designer by the name of Jackson Tegu. Very delightful creature. I had the very wonderful pleasure of meeting last year. And I played this game, and it was ridiculous and delightful. It did all the things that I've enjoyed about hanging out with people and just drawing and telling stories. So we're going to do that today. A bunch of links should be going out, and we'll just start introductions. I'm Steph, she, her. You can find me at Starfruit Junkie on Twitch and Twitter. I just draw monsters, and I am a coffee wizard by day.
Hello, my name is Arya. You can find me on Twitter at Genki Soda. All pronouns are good for me. I don't have any glasses or contacts, so if I'm extra squinty, that's why. Lost my glasses like a year ago, didn't do anything about it. Ran out of contacts, I don't know.
Didn't do anything about it.
Hashtag ADHD life. Also, earlier today, I got really worried all of a sudden because I was like, I'm not going to wear a wig and everyone's going to think my head's too small. And then I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm here. Yeah, woo!
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm they, them. You can find me on Twitter at Katie Hargrove. And I don't know, I'm here to draw some fun stuff and check out this game Stephanie's been telling me about.
Yes. You're also an excellent artist, and they're not talking about that, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm Random Tuesday on the internet, or Lauren, sometimes also on the internet. You can find me there. My pronouns are she, her. And how can they support Geek Space TV and help us out here if they want to do that?
I haven't done this in forever. What happens?
You can subscribe.
Subscribe, Patreon.
You did the art. You did Inkling super recently.
I didn't talk about like how to support it. I forgot already. I forgot my spiel, Lauren. I was talking about drawing faces for 4 hours.
Do you want me to do it?
Please.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Geek Space TV. It's super awesome. If you'd like to support us, there are so many ways you can do it. You're also already doing one of them, which is being here, hanging out, watching the stream. If you're able to do so, you can support us financially, either through a direct donation. If we get any donations, we'll see a notification on the screen, and then I'll run over somewhere and read it, which is fine. Don't worry about it. I can make that happen. And otherwise, you can also support us with a regular monthly donation over on Patreon. If you can't support us financially, that's super cool too. Don't worry about it. You can hang out here and watch the stream. You can also share it with your friends and family on various forms of social media, including hosting on Twitch is also appreciated.
She's got the spiel, okay? Like, there's no way I'm not gonna not be like, here, Lauren, you do it.
I do a lot of spiels. I'm very good at memorizing a sequence of words and then saying them over and over.
It's like
again.
you're an actor.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. So on that note,
cool. We're gonna start.
What's this game? Why are we here? What are we doing?
Yeah, I didn't tell them anything, and I didn't tell them to prepare, so this is great. So we're gonna read the rules together, and I'm gonna pass this down. So you've just met Tingled, the lovable rake who likes the drink, likes to make himself well known to women and men, likes to not worry too much about anything, is as lucky as a room full of cats, and marvelous with a sword. He just can't keep track of them. With his affairs, he's careful and sweet. It's just swords that he can't keep track of. The drunkenness doesn't help, but it fails to account for even a quarter of the losses, disarmings, misplacements. It's uncanny. Luckily, he's gotten good at picking them up too. What you'll need: the 2 to 5 players can gradually rise during the game, or ebb and flow as play continues. If your lineup changes a lot, perhaps you'll play longer than 20 minutes. Arm your group with a handful of pens, pencils,
Ta-da!
and things to color with. Be sure to equip many small pieces of paper, which are about 1.5 inches by 5 inches, or 4 centimeter by 12 centimeter in size. You know, about this big. And a bag of future swords.
Approximately half of an index card.
Would you like to read next?
Oh,
You can read a page or read as far as you want.
from here?
Yeah, sure.
Learning the game. You're gonna read this whole book out loud together. That's what we're doing. We have no choice. We have been bound.
Good work.
Pass it on.
Except probably the credits at the end. How that happens is up to the group. If you're unsure about a rule while you're reading or listening, ask questions after that section is over. Who knows, maybe somebody else understood or was paying attention. You never know. Playing the game, there is no gaining of points. There is no game. This is real life. No keeping of score. There's no winner, or rather, there's only one loser, and we've already met him. You'll know the game is over when there's a general feeling of having had enough. Okay, so never, because I'm always enthusiastic. Players take turns. It's often easiest to go around the circle. Perhaps your group will have a different way that works best. I would love suggestions. Maybe whomever wants to take a turn will do just so. It'll be a sort of consensual chaos. Yay, consent. Within
Sort of.
Tingleds? Is that how you say this?
Tingled, yeah.
Tingleds? Fictional world, the gains and losses of swords occur in the order that we hear them described, which is to say everything's in chronological order. No flashbacks, please. Good. Confusing. Flashbacks. No. Some time usually passes between the events of one anecdote and the next, perhaps a day, a week, or at least a few hours. Tingled's life isn't that hectic. Well, that's lucky for him. Do you want to read the next page?
I know you have a habit of staring at yourself if you have the mid thing open, so now you can't.
Is that what's happening?
I understand.
Anna's trying to help me out.
Are you a bird? You
I
just
am.
look at the mirror like, hey, he's pretty. He's pretty.
The answer is me. It's always
When it's not your turn, you can do both of the following. Listen and draw swords. Listen to the people you're playing with, because they'll say funny and interesting things. Why the hell are you even here if you're not mostly to listen? So listen, that's the good part. And draw swords. We'll need badly drawn pictures of the swords Tingald will find. Sure, some people might do some good drawings, and those will work too. Oh, did you think you were meant to draw, like, unsheath the sword? Don't. After you finish the drawing, put it in the sword pool, that otherworldly place where exist all the swords that Tingle doesn't yet have but might someday get.
Can't really see it. It's so white and so small.
Put it here.
Okay.
And point to it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, point
We
to
can
it.
hold
Yeah,
it up.
Tom down again.
There
It's
we
so
go.
I forget. I'm only so on camera.
When it's your turn.
So this is the sword pool. This thing right here. You can't see it, but it says.
But it's okay. So we have one side which is sword pool.
You shouldn't go swimming in it, though. It would probably hurt.
When it's your turn, you'll cease your drawing and describe either Tingled getting a sword or Tingled losing a sword he already has.
Ooh.
Read the section on getting a sword. To describe Tingled getting a sword, select a drawing from the sword pool and give us an anecdote about Tingled acquiring that sword. How he buys it, finds it, is given it, steals it, whatever. Tell us what happens. Speak as all the characters and describe the scene as much or as little as you want. Take only a minute or two to share your anecdote, and when you're done, place that drawing in Tingled's Chambers section of the playsheet. Psst. Hey, if Tingle gets more than one sword during your anecdote, go ahead and add more than one drawing to his chambers. Make sure you only do one anecdote, though. Don't, chain two anecdotes in a row. That's just greedy.
Wait, but how do you know when to stop talking?
Tell the story about the one sword.
Yeah, there's still more on that page,
Oh,
the second page.
Oh, this right here. Okay. Or losing a sword. So when it's your turn. Getting a sword or losing a sword. To describe Tingle losing a sword he already has, select a drawing, just one, from Tingled's Chambers, and give us an anecdote about Tingle losing that sword. How he drops it, fumbles it, forgets it, is disarmed of it, however it goes. As before, speak as all the characters and describe the scene as much or as little as you like, but keep it to a minute or two. After your anecdote, deal with the drawing as the anecdote demands, either destroying it, lovingly removing it from play, or returning to the sword pool as appropriate. I have thought about setting it on fire. We're not going to do it in the studio. Maybe for outside.
Thank you.
We'll do that later.
Tingle generally loses one sword at a time. Any sword trading that Tingle might have gotten up to in his youth is outside of the purview of this game. That's it. Those are the rules. Are there any questions?
I'm gonna have questions as we play.
Great, that's
I think
fine.
It's how it's gonna
It's
happen.
gonna be great.
The TLDR is draw a sword.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in the pool. Or you can automatically tell a story about it. You tell a story about how Tingled acquired the sword, and then you put it somewhere in the vicinity of Tingled's house. Or you take a sword that he already has and you tell the story of how he lost the sword.
Okay,
And then you do whatever that thing is you want to said sword.
so you sort of rob him.
Yeah. In whatever way it was that he lost the sword. So okay. And all of it connects, so it's all in chronological order. So if he loses one sword and then gains another, whatever order we tell that story in, that's the order it happened in his life. So yes, we have to listen to each other and occasionally draw things.
What?
And my goal is how many puns can you get in a sword?
Oh.
Oh, okay, that's
I
a
like
good, that's a really
that.
good goal. I just draw the goofiest thing possible to make other people draw cool things. It's like my favorite motivation. It's like, here, look. It's a bone sword with wings. So go on the sword pool. Does King Arthur know about this meme infringement? No, because it's not the one true sword or the one true king. What am I supposed to be rolling? Yes, so welcome to weird game life.
There's no dice. I mean, you could roll it for fun. Chad already has their sword. Or if he does.
Oh, the hugs sword?
Yeah, the flaming hugs.
Flaming hugs. Hot, fiery hugs.
Drawn a sword, but I don't know what the story is yet.
It's okay. And you can leave it in the sword pool and you can tell a story of a different sword. You don't have to do the one that you've drawn.
I just want you to know this is his dis sword. Disarm. Because the arm is dissing you. It's
Okay. At the disarming sword as opposed to the disarming knife. Okay. It was amateur night at the Apollo. And Tingle decided to try, instead of getting into a fight or getting up with the sword, it's like, I'm going to do, a comedy reel. I have enough funny stories. I'm going to tell the story. And instead, the audience... There were a lot of versions of the story, but there was a lot of booing and shouting, and at the end, he either felt dissed or he was either dissed or somebody got disarmed. No matter what, he wound up keeping the disarming sword and thought, hey, yeah, you know what? I am funny.
It's his disarm. He keeps it above his mantelpiece.
Because all these
As a
knights with their
reminder.
disarming swords and disarming blades, you know what? I got the best one.
I'm gonna show him. Just
Oh, yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
it
Oh, yeah,
says. I've seen better.
I've seen better.
It says disarm. Look, built a whole sword around one pun.
Perfect. Disarm. Just slap people with it.
Yeah.
Wiggle it at them.
You say, I've seen better, and then he smacks him around the head with his disarm.
Nice. Nice.
Can this go into the sword?
Oh, yes.
Cool.
It's a pancor.
Oh, what?
It's an anchor and it's pink.
And it causes pain.
So after his fated adventures here, the pink ore. After his fated adventures in stand-up comedy, which he had mixed success with, he decided to go on tour on a cruise ship. Unfortunately, this cruise, well, not unfortunately, at one point, the cruise ship, they got into a pirate battle, and naturally he did not have his sword on him because he was at this point trying to be a stand-up comedian. So he improvised very quickly and pulled the anchor out and turned it into a sword, which he then wielded to defeat the pirates aboard this cruise ship. And now he proudly puts the sword next to his disarm to remember why he gave up his career in stand-up comedy, because that fight aboard the pirate ship was his reminder that truly he is best upon the field of battle and not the field of words.
That's amazing. Most lively cruise ever.
It was a good cruise. The main complaints from the people aboard the cruise was A, pirate attack, and B, lackluster entertainment.
Nice.
They really just they weren't feeling it. His humor, just his wit wasn't sharp enough.
Rollers?
Because you don't bring your sword.
rollerblade.
Because you don't bring your sword to a comedy gig. We all know this. Because the last time that happened, someone lost an arm.
Yeah,
That's how.
that's where that arm came from.
Yeah. Perfect. Can we describe our own swords?
Sure.
Are we allowed to do that? Okay. So, I have a fart sword. Because I'm mature. Yes. This one was the byproduct of the best shonen misadventure possible. There was a little boy in a village who was met by a wizard genie something that had magic and was like, hey, you want to go on an adventure? I'll make you a sword. Tell me what your greatest strength is. And the little boy had no life experience and was like, I don't know. I'm kind of good at making stinky farts. And the wizard was like, perfect. All right. Just like, you sometimes put tassels on the ends of weapons to like distract the person. It'll fart and make gross smells. And the little boy was like, that sounds perfect. Yes, I love that. Anyway, he like any good shonen adventure, left home at 10 to go get training, and Tingled was like, yeah, you can totally train in my room and in my house, and the boy was training, and it got so stinky, he almost passed out, and he dropped his sword and ran away. And he was crying because it smelled so bad, and he was too embarrassed to ever come back. And that's how Tingled got this smell.
Has never been able to find out where the smell is coming
Yeah,
from.
he has no idea. He's just like,
It's like
"What?"
under the bed.
Yeah.
With that.
Like, why does it always smell really bad in here?
Don't understand. Don't understand. I'm gonna tell this if you unless you want to tell one.
You can go for
This
it.
one?
I'm definitely like thinking about things.
So a new skating rink opened up near Tiggle's place called Skate or Die. And he just, you skate or die. Like, Tittle never gone skating in his life. Has no idea why you would call it a rink. Did you just misspell it with the G? I don't understand. Whatever. So he's like, but it said skate or die. He's like, oh, I understand what's going on. So he got a pair of skates, and to fit with the theme of this place, he decided to add a sword to it. Because why not? It's a specialty. He understood. And he soon realized his error when he arrived. And he just doesn't talk about it again. He never mentions about that night at Skate or Die. But he still keeps us there. He doesn't know what else to do with it. Maybe someday I'll just roll away.
So how do we can talk about how we lose a sword too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he gets really desperate about why his place smells so bad, and he assumes it's this rotting arm. And then it was just like, all right, I guess I just got to get rid of it because I can't deal with the smell anymore. But much to his chagrin, nothing changes.
Does he just leave it outside?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just leave
One
it.
of my favorite things to do is to leave it outside. So we will We will keep it out here as the kind of outside because
Throws it on the lawn.
Happens.
Yeah.
So his next attempt, after he fails to get rid of the smell by disarming himself, he acquires a air freshener.
Just a freshener sword.
Air freshener sword. It's a piney fresh scent. He calls this one Pine Needle. Which then he later realized was a little too close to copyright infringement with Game of Thrones. So he now keeps it as an air freshener, but he just hangs it above his bed.
Does it cut through the smell?
Yeah, he tries. He hopes that it cuts through his smell. But he doesn't really know how to deal with things that aren't swords. So he just attached a little hilt to it. It goes above his bed in a desperate attempt to get the smell to go away.
So now his place smells pine fresh and nutty.
And nutty.
It's a little bit of like a background funk all the time.
Yeah. Perfect.
I realized in hindsight this probably does come off the board since you talked about removing it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Brain was like, oh wait. I'll go bury this outside.
The dog eventually gets it.
The dog eventually, yes.
Oh, and that's how this comes to be. So a dog eventually gets the disarm sword and definitely at some point like digs and tries to bury it, and the guy is just like, hey, you're like ripping up my lawn. You can't keep doing this, dog. And lo and behold, finds a bunch of skeletons and was just like, wow, this is creepy. Everyone's gonna think I'm a mass murderer. Time to make some weapons. Because no one will think that's weird.
Yeah.
I gotta do something with these bones.
Yeah, well, once you call it a sword, then it's not just a pile of bones.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's useful.
So in his panic, he made them into a sword.
And he puts a lot of love into it because he's a craftsman, right? He's really dedicated to his art. And then nobody thinks it's weird that he just got all these bones because they're like,
Oh, it's for
Yeah.
his art.
yeah, sword art online. He sells them online. That's what his website's called, Sword Art Online.
Now you know. Now you know. Oh, that's amazing.
So, inspired by his sword art online, inspired by selling his swords, that's where he finally finds a home for Rollerblade.
Rollerblade.
For Rollerblade. He starts listing his swords online at swordartonline.com / Tiggled. And he discovers it's a pretty lucrative business to sell like avant-garde art swords to people. And he finds someone who's just really into weird 80s sword throwbacks. And so he mails it to a strange, far-off location that he has never heard of. And yeah, hopefully that sword will never be seen from again or involved in any murder that he could be traced to.
He also notices that there are a lot of angsty teenage boys named Kyle who are just really into buying swords from him, and they all are like, can you put the monster logo on it somewhere? I don't know. I have two brothers. A lot of swords in my house. I mean, they collect them, right? Walls just covered with...
Avant-garde swords. Oh, Iffy. I see what you did there. Much to his surprise, one morning, Tiggled wakes up and that bone sword that he made is just gone.
What? What?
No. I don't know what happened.
Did it
Some
walk
drag
off?
marks? There's some drag marks that lead outside, and then I don't know what happened.
I think the sword walked off.
It goes back to the pool. What? There's a sword out in the world somewhere.
Also out in the world.
Somewhere.
I'm trying to think what an avant-garde sword looks like.
Yeah. I gotta think
Avant-garde
of
sword.
something. Nice.
Wow. That was great.
So, Sword Art Online becomes a pretty successful business for him. And he decides that he's really running out of artistic inspirations. So he just like pulls a random book off of his shelf, and it turns out to be an MC Escher book. And so this now becomes a new inspiration for a series of swords that he creates, which he's working on creating the Neverending Sword, but he hasn't quite mastered it. So this one is the tessellation sword. So he makes a bunch of them, and they can all just tessellate with each other. But he makes too many of them, and it turns out they weren't as popular as he thought they would be. So he just has this sword kicking around his house. So it's just kind of living there. It's like when you have too much Etsy stock and like he's trying to sell it, but no one seems to be buying it. The market for avant-garde swords was actually smaller than he anticipated. His most successful swords have been the ones that are effective at stabbing. But they're less interesting to create, so he's just sort of has this blade.
He like got into a really dark mood, and in order to get out of it, he wrote a book.
Nice.
It's just a sword. And that's when he realized that, no, I need to go back to making actual swords. This book is a sword.
That was his last sword.
I'm just sitting here waving it around. It's just like flapping the pages together.
Yo, paper cuts are real.
I like that one.
So I guess one time he was having trouble sleeping, and this one came to him in like that half dream-like state, and it said, "Sleep, my friend," and this is his bedtime sword. And he keeps it under his pillow, and it helps him like rest at night. But it came from a dream.
Bedtime pillow.
Bed sword.
So it wasn't even, he didn't forge it, it just appeared one
It
day.
just appeared to him.
Oh, it just
Aw.
appeared
Well,
under.
it appeared from his mind.
His mind. That's delightful.
So,
Oh no, you go first.
I was gonna take that one.
Oh, you are? Do
Yeah.
it. Do it.
Dude,
So one day,
it.
you know how he buried his disarm, right, in the backyard? The dog dug it up. It was fine. He thought he'd converted all of it into bones, into the bone sword, which has now since disappeared. Someday he was walking outside, and he noticed that there was a tree in his yard that he hadn't expected to see, because he had literally never planted a tree in his yard out front. But it had sprouted into a tree sword, a palm sword. One can only assume this was perhaps from the vestiges of the disarm that had been buried, because one of the coconuts from the tree sword fell and hit him on the head and insulted him.
Was it full of salt?
Yeah. Said, well, you're a
Briny.
tough nut to crack, or something like that. So now he left it in the yard. But it's right outside his house. Is
Cool.
the tree sword? It's buried in the ground.
Right outside.
Hello, tree
Great.
sword.
He didn't have the heart to uproot it, because he still has to forge an axe sword to cut the tree sword down.
Just a kukri. Nuts. A face palm sword. Thanks. Thanks. Oh, this is great. Okay, great. This you planted a seed. This is great.
You're welcome.
So he decides one day he really wants to get into self-care, so he makes himself a loofah sword. For the bathroom. He can't just use a loofah.
Fight off the
It's
dead.
extremely
Yeah,
exfoliating.
fighting off the dead skin. Yeah. Loofah sword.
I was wondering when he like walks out of his house and his daily routine, whatever, and suddenly something just bites him in the leg. He's like, "What the heck?" And he looks down, and it's just a snake sword. And it's fallen out of the tree, and then he wrestles it, shows it to his boss, and it leaves him alone and goes off to coil itself around the said sword tree, the palm sword.
So, Tickle he's suspicious of this palm sword tree, and this now snake that came from it. And he thinks this could result in too many swords. He could lose control of the swords. So he forges what he calls his axe sword, and everyone else just looks at him and tells him, "You just made an axe." And he said, No, it's a sword. And we're like, "What makes it a sword?" And he's like, "Because I made it, and the only thing I can make are swords."
The axe sword.
And he's not, I don't think he's ready to cut it down yet, so he hasn't, but he keeps the axe sword at the ready in case he needs to dispatch his sword tree.
Is it outside like a threat?
Yeah, he props it up right outside the door
Cool.
to his little house.
It's a warning.
As summer drags on and his house gets stinkier and stinkier, and hot, he doesn't have AC, so it's particularly miserable. He decides that he needs to be able to fan himself, so he makes a feather sword, and then he also realizes it's really good for like whooshing people away, be like, "Get away from me!" So it's really good protection against boring conversations, because if you just start fanning at somebody, they usually leave. Most useful for that, not useful for getting the smell out of his house.
I forgot about the smell.
Still smells.
Still smells.
Scrubbing the stink off his body every day, hoping it was just him the whole time.
What if it's just
What if
me?
it's just me? I don't know.
It's true. There's the pine air freshener. It does still smell like pine, but also kind of gross.
Tickle has just about had it with this odor and thinks it's time to really bring the fight in. And crafts a fan sword, a even better fan sword with actual RPMs. Does he make it? We'll find out. He still doesn't know where the smell's coming from.
Nope. Good work. Good work, smell sword.
Smell sword. The wrong sword. These are great. What's the story? It's like, is he hungry? Sandwich sword.
It's a sword witch.
Sword witch?
It has magic powers. I don't know.
So one day, super tired of this smell. You know what? He's over it. He's over it. He's got a magic sword tree out front. So he goes on a quest, and with him he takes which sword would he take with him? He takes his panker. His pink anchor. This is going with him on his quest, and he seeks out a wise individual. He needs someone to help him take care of all of his sword problems. So he seeks out the sword witch. But unfortunately, he is not very good at reading, and he mixes up his letters a lot, and so he misread Sword Witch, and it turned out it was a sandwich sword. So he goes on this long and mighty quest. It takes him weeks and weeks, and in fact, on that quest, his anchor sword gets stuck in a rock
Oh no.
that he was smashing open. So he loses his anchor sword, is now trapped on his quest. But he did eventually make it to the Sword Witch. Was not what he was expecting. It was merely a sandwich, a sword between two pieces of bread. But he was hungry and tired and a little bit cranky at that point, and so he took this Sword Witch and he ate it on the way home. Or at least he ate the bread of it on the way home, so I'm just gonna take some of the bread off. But he brought the rest of the sword with him and lamented in his home as he returned from his quest.
Oh no.
Yeah, he dropped
And the
anchor.
house still smells.
And his house still smells, but he has the sword witch with no witch.
Got a bunch
Which
of
is ironically really just a sword. It is his most boring sword.
what he made.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So he gets a girlfriend for a little while, and he wants to make her some nice jewelry, and she's kind of, in the same sort of people-killing business. And so she likes poison rings, and he was just like, oh, I can totally do better than that. I'll make you a knife ring. And for those who don't know, poison rings are rings that have like a secret little chamber that you can open up, so you could put poison in someone's drink and do a really sleight of hand kind of thing. Only, it's not a very effective killing tool because it really can only give someone a paper cut, maybe a splinter.
You could put poison on the blade.
Could. Yeah, but she breaks up with him. She hates it so much.
So he's just left with a poison ring, a blade ring,
Yeah, blade ring.
and no girlfriend.
Yeah.
Disappointing. That's real rough for him.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a croquet set as
Oh, it
a
is.
sword,
It is.
and it looks more like a weenie roast gone wrong.
In all his grief, I was just like, I can't make this relationship work. I'm still just gonna make swords. His girlfriend had bought a croquet kit, and he was like, she just left this here. What are we gonna do with it? So he just makes a sword.
Perfect.
Makes a sword because he doesn't know what else to do.
He crafts his feelings.
He crafts his feelings away.
He crafting his feelings didn't work, so he tried to eat his feelings away, but he lost his can opener, so he made this lobster sword so that he can open up cans and just eat as much as possible in his sadness. And it's just in there, and he starts to wonder if that's where the smell came from, even though it's a new item.
Yeah.
That's a new sword.
He's not thinking clearly.
The lobster sword gains sentience, and he's just like, this is lobster in my house now. What do I do with it? It's running around. It's just getting into things I don't need it to. So he makes a leash sword just to keep the lobster sword in check and under control. There you go. It's a leash attached to the lobster. And he leaves it outside, tied to the tree.
How's the snake feel about that?
I don't know. What does
So,
the snake? How
he
does the
comes
snake
out
feel?
actually one day, and there's only half a snake left. He doesn't know what happened to the other half.
Is it the half that grows back?
I don't know if that's how snake trees work or how snake snorts work. But yeah, there's a lobster on a leash and half a snake. But half of the snake is gone. The head of the snake is nowhere to be found.
Oh. The lobster's been out there a while, and it's been getting fat, and it got so fat that it broke out of its leash. It was just too fat, and it just kind of wandered away one day.
The leash is just still there.
And the leash is just, it's around somewhere.
Oh my goodness. Amy, thank you for the donation. Hello, Sword Art Online. Can I order that lobster sword, please? Maybe that's exactly where that lobster sword went.
It got ordered. So the business stopped, but the site was still live. So now Tickle's like, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know how to make a site work.
Oh no! So Tickled realized he didn't put his vacation message up on his Etsy store on Sword Art Online, and so people had been ordering swords from him in the meantime, and he wasn't able to. So he had to find a way to fulfill all of those sword orders because having maintaining his 5-star review is really important to him. It's very important. Otherwise, you can't continue to operate. It's just not good for a business. So he sends out a lot of apology emails to people about how he's really sorry. And he manages to sell his final MC Escher sword as a prototype one. And so this one gets sold to another person through Sword Art Online. But the rest of them he has to cancel all of the orders. And so now they're really disappointed in him. And so he has more feelings to craft swords from.
Can you say short order, sword order 5 times fast?
Short order, sword order, short order, sword order, short order, sword order, short order, sword order, short order, sword order.
Because I have a hard time saying it in my head.
Right at the end.
My favorite, if you want to say it really fast, is short order, short order. Short order.
The Swedish chef would be proud.
Lobster sword. Let's see.
Leather leashed lobster, kinky crustacean. Best comment. I appreciate this.
She sells by the she shorts. She sells she shorts, but by the she shorts. I know what that is.
The snake sword grows a new head. And Tickle doesn't know really what to do about
Oh
it.
God! Wait, did you show them the head nice and close?
Yes. The snake sword now has a head. Oh no, everything's... Tape it! And it's one of those things where Tickle comes out, sees this thing just and he just walks back inside, just walks away, walks back inside, whatever it is, just no, I didn't wake up for this. Hydra sword? But what if? I mean, I could just make more little faces. Who knows what happens?
So that same day, he walks outside and he turns around and he realizes that his house now actually has 2 doors. Well, it has one door. It has more doors than before. Specifically, it has a sword door. He doesn't know where it came from, and he hasn't been brave enough to open the shore door yet. But it's there. It's just propped up on the side of his house. Shore door. Maybe it doesn't go anywhere. Maybe it's just a door on a sword.
This pile of swords. it just grows.
Maybe it's a portal to another dimension. The shore door. There's no door on the inside though, just on the outside.
Just the outside.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's sword door.
Sword door, yeah.
Is that a sword spender?
Yeah. Just make a gun blade. Just get all Final Fantasy 8.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Keyblade.
Keyblade, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Harmless sword. Oh, it's the loofah.
I was like, what's that one?
Oh, it's so cool.
What is that?
This one's got no fun name that I know of yet.
One day, let's take a look at the door open. Or maybe this thing, the snake sword, used the other door. And he found it rummaging around with this sword in his mouth. And God, the smell. And he finally realizes where the smell is coming from. Darn kids! Last time I ever tried to teach a sword master. And he, someone on Sword Art Online orders a blind box sword, so he sends this.
Perfect. Nice.
So he says, you know what, I'm gonna keep this guy. You can still hang out. Blind box sword. Pumpkin, yeah, it's a thing. The pile of had swords just tends to erupt, and it's great. Sometimes I like the stories where the sword just kind of wanders off. It's usually my favorite. You're like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know.
It's just gone.
It's gone. And now you're not alone. Question, are any swords sentient enough to open the door?
We don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
So one day he
Maybe.
comes back, and first he realizes that several of his swords are gone. His novel disappeared. The rest of the sword witch
Oh no!
seems to be gone. They have gone somewhere, but what he does have now is the snake sword has a second head. Not really sure what that is,
Yes.
but it's got another head.
This is not the beginnings of a supervillain at all.
Is the sound that it makes.
Clearly, it can't be inside with that loud outdoor voice, so it just keeps it outside.
He shoos it away with his wing sword,
And it eats
Shoot.
that too.
but he does manage to get it outside.
It's like, wah! And,
Parting of the ways.
the next thing he knows, this Hydra sword has wings. Gaffer's tape. It's magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's so magical. It gives you wings. So now this monstrosity. Oh no, I taped it to another piece. It was not the sword. It has wings.
It's a good sword.
It's really great. Then you, oh, sorry.
No worries.
And then Tickle realizes, oh no, this is going to become a problem. So he puts the leash on it in the hopes that it won't fly away somewhere.
Perfect.
He tries to leash it. And ties it to the sword tree. It just keeps growing bigger. It's a very robust tree.
So at some point, when he realizes that when a bunch of his stuff disappeared, like all of his stuff disappeared. He's very observant sometimes, and that includes like all of his cutlery and stuff. So he has to make a new set. So he makes himself a sword spoon, a sword fork, and he definitely puts 4 prongs, so nobody calls it a threek because he hates that joke. Sword knife, not actually just a sword; it's a butter knife. This is supposed to be a bowl. I don't think I know how to draw bowls from a top-down look. That's a frying pan, and there's a cup. He likes really big cups.
With the hilt. So you know, hand guard when you're drinking. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you, Speak of Life, for the 6-month subscription, and welcome, Davidson. Yeah, it is Jackson's game.
Yeah,
this
so
is
what are we
Sword Loser.
doing?
We're playing
What's this
Sword
game?
Loser. There's a Kickstarter going on. This is a game designed by a local Olympian, Seattle, Washington, game designer by the name of Jackson Tegu. Very delightful creature. There's a Kickstarter up for Sword Loser and Tool User, which we might get into. Yes, definitely going to get into because I just really want to Marie Kondo everything, so we're going to do that probably. It's a very delightful game. They're so small, bite-sized, really approachable, and just weirdness ensues. It's very delightful. Oh my god.
Like our conversation earlier.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Nope, that's beautiful. So, you know what? He's been through a lot. He had a long-term girlfriend, and it didn't pan out. She rejected him after he made her a delightfully crafted sword ring. You know, his career as a stand-up comedian never took off. His business, Sword Art Online, is going pretty well. But he's feeling like he needs to be trying something new, and he's heard that cosplay is a really lucrative business.
But not in the way that he thinks, right?
Oh, no.
And so he kind of dives actually into more historical costuming. And so he decides that he's going to construct a 17th century wig with swords in it. But also that he's going to use it to make himself feel better. He really just wants to feel better about himself. So he constructs this 17th century sword wig and is prepared to gussy himself up and go out on a date wearing this wig at a convention. The story doesn't make sense because I tried to combine too many things into it, but that's okay. I'm yes-ending myself.
Yeah, no, and it seems you want to add to it.
Yeah,
Great.
and
Yeah.
to add to his costume, he also makes himself, what did you call it?
Sword
Sword
spender.
spenders.
Yeah, sword spenders. They're all the rage, and he keeps handing out his business cards, being like, "You should check out my Etsy page." And he's just like, "I have not made more than one of these. Looks like I have some work to do." But then he's also just like nervous. 'Cause what if nobody actually buys it? What if everyone's just being nice to me? And he doubts himself, and then he's just like, "Why am I at this con? What am I doing here? Everyone's pretending to like me." He spirals again a little bit. Poor guy.
No.
So yeah, the purpose of this game, Melissa, is to tell stories and have fun. There's no.
Very smart sword. Or very not smart sword, depending how you feel about
Degrees.
brains and degrees.
I like where we just diverged right there. We're like, oh, you saw what Stephanie feels.
Stay in school, kids. No. Oh.
Oh my gosh. What else do we have here? These are lost to the shipping, the sword art.
Yeah, those have been mailed.
Sword art. Those have been mailed.
Oh, one of them's stuck in a rock somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
this one's
one's
stuck
stuck
in
in
a
a
rock.
rock.
Yeah, that one's stuck in a rock. The Sword Art Online ones can come back. They've just been sold.
They're just not sold. They might come back.
Sometimes people return things.
Like the fart sword, now the smell is back.
So one night, he is awoken while he's sleeping He's removed his sword hair and his sword spenders. And he hears whispers from underneath his pillows. And these whispers tell him, open the door. Open it. Open it. Open the door. Open the door. Open the door. And he's like, that sounds like a terrible idea. I am a sword master. I have been on many a quest, and I know that opening a sword door, will likely lead me into a terrible place. But he can't sleep. Because this star sword is just whispering to him underneath his pillow. It's the only thing that it's going to do. So he picks it up. He picks up this star sword and he yells at it, I will not listen to your foul words, star sword. I am no fool. And he casts it into the night.
Whoa. That was scary.
Open the door, open the door, open the door, open the door. But he still hears the voice when he tries to sleep.
Oh no.
Somewhere, something is whispering at him, telling him to open the door. Open the door.
After coming back from throwing the sword out, he suddenly steps on something and it hurts really bad, like worse than a Lego. And he's just like, ah, what is this? And he doesn't even take time to look at it. He just throws it outside too. He's like, everything's against me.
He curses the heavens.
It hurt his foot. He's very sad. I think.
Dog.
That's the dog.
It's
Dog and a piece of tape.
Oh yes.
sounds like
Do you want a bigger one than this?
Now it'll work. The next day,
Oh god.
the Hydra sword has another head.
Ah!
Open the door! 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 Is all it says.
No.
He keeps it leashed to the tree.
He keeps it to the tree. Oh. So this is just gonna be a double moment. So he just keeps hearing. He's like, "Oh God, now I hear it outside," and he goes outside with his sword axe and just tries to cut the head off, and he succeeds, and it stops for a second until two more heads sprout out, and they're now both singing, "Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!"
but higher pitched, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, because
They're
they're
both-
smaller now.
They're smaller now.
Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!
This is the worst. What horror. What horror.
I have an idea.
Cool. All the regrets. It's still stuck to the leash, so it won't leave. It's trying to fly, but it won't leave. I'm gonna put this under the camera. This horrific monstrosity of a sword. This beautiful, beautiful sword.
It's a good sword.
It's a very good sword. It's just so much. There's so much going on right here. Look at that good dog. Look at that good dog face. Look at good snake face. Oh, is it for the dog?
He goes to a con, and he wins a prize, a raffle prize. He's not even sure how he got a raffle ticket. He just has one. He wins a keyblade, and he's like, what is this? I don't know what a keyblade is. And he's highly suspicious that he's being set up. He's pretty sure nobody actually likes him, and now he's pretty sure he's being set up.
Oh, no. He takes it home anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, because he's just like, well, somebody's coming for me. I don't know, I guess I better have more swords. Can't hurt.
Open the door! Open the door! Open the door! So he's pretty sure someone's coming for him. Mm-hmm. And the chanting outside of his house is sort of terrifying, but he's almost afraid to let this creature go. So he decides that, you know what? I need to level up. I've leveled up on quests, but now I need to level up in knowledge. So he goes to sword school. He starts taking night classes in order to...
Night classes?
Yeah. I didn't do that on purpose, but now I did. And so he gets his master's degree in sword forgery.
Is he a sword master?
So he's now a sword master. And he actually gets a double-bladed degree.
Double-edged.
A double-edged degree. And in sword mastery and sword stabbery.
Mm-hmm.
And so he hangs, as you are supposed to do, your sword diploma of his education in his home. So he feels more prepared now. He knows how to craft better, more dangerous, more powerful swords than he did previously.
And to celebrate with his class, they're at a party, and he definitely accidentally decides to shake a bunch of soda, and they just, like, have a soda fight.
Wonderful.
And that's it. That's what happens. They just have a soda fight. Because they're like, you know what? We're graduating. Yeah, soda fight.
Woo! Oh, and one of his friends is really proud of him for how hard he worked, and his friend was also studying necromancy and incantations, as well as swordsmithing, and performs a dark ritual. Something to do with blood and sacrificing some animals. He's not quite sure. He slept through those classes, the electives that he could have taken. But then his friend gives him this lovely, fancy death sword, and when he swings it, he hears the cry of souls that are tortured or something, and he's just like, all right, this is
Is it
pretty
like
bad.
one of those little spinny tubes that is sort of like,
Yeah.
whoa?
Yeah, exactly. And then if he does this with it, like if he just takes and goes, it does the cow sound, and he's like, all right, because this is totally a cow skull. He's like, perfect.
You ever do the thing with the cow cans? Like,
Yeah.
You slow-mo the thing all the way to the end. In the middle of the store, so that everyone can suffer with you.
Perfect.
Somehow better than open the door.
Yes.
Open the door, open the door, open the door.
It's like dark lightsaber sounds too, instead of whoa.
What are you doing with that collection of swords over there?
I might need a piece of tape. It's fine.
You want more?
No, I'll make this work.
Are you sure? No,
Yeah.
you can get more. Here, you want more? Here,
That's
here.
cool.
Here, have this.
Yeah, it's fine. You keep doing your thing. I'm over here.
The grand conclusion. Let's see what other swords do we have in here. So we have this not problematic, not going to be a problem, not evil dead death sword.
It was a
It's
gift.
true. It's true. It's
It
a
was
gift.
made
It's
with
good.
love
It's true.
and tortured souls. You know, as you do.
Love is the main ingredient because
Yep.
it came first. Because it's listed first, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
that works, right? Yeah.
He's got all of his cutlery too. And then pan.
And the little the pine needle. It's like a Voltron sword over there. No. No, never. In the midst of the night of all of his after degree partying, the leash is loose. They don't know where it went, and a bunch of swords go missing. His favorite sword spenders. Didn't go for the wig's still there. We don't know why. The rest of the juicy's eaten up. That's his left behind. And his loofah. God, his
Loofah's gone.
No! His skin's gonna be so itchy now.
It's the worst. No exfoliation.
Just borrow the thicker pen. This will be faster. It's fine. I've got a whole plot point happening.
Wow.
Hi, I'm a GM. Every story needs a climax. So, all right, we're ready.
Okay.
One night,
Nice.
he's done. He's tired. The creature outside, even though it's not leashed, just keeps running around the base of the sword tree,
It's
whispering,
slithering.
muttering to itself, saying,
Open the door.
"Open the door! Open the door!" He still hears the whispers from the sword, like the stars themselves are telling him to do this. And he has a vision of the key. The keyblade he was given opens the door. He takes the keyblade. He goes outside to the sword door, and he opens it, and inside he finds a black abyss, and coming from the thing is his vast enemy. All of the swords he has ever sold on Sword Art Online, helmed by a lobster with one head of a snake in a rollerblading blade.
A rollerblade.
He comes at him, and he must fight for his life with everything that he has available to him. And now it is the most epic battle that Tiggold has ever fought. So he runs back into his home and proceeds to gather all of his weapons. The keyblade's gone. This is the sword door. They were destroyed. Armed with implements and knowledge, he fights off this mighty creature of sword and claw, and finally defeats it.
Woo!
All thanks in the last moment to this little creature flying in and pushing everything through the door.
They
It's
all
going to the
tumble.
bone arm. And it's gonna go.
The creature tumbles through the door. He slams the sword door closed. And that is
The legend
the legend of Sordor.
of Sword Door. And to this day, you sometimes can hear,
Open the door. Open the door.
yeah, and then that.
And after that, Tiggold retired from sword making.
Yes.
That's a, it's,
Or
I
not.
think it's good. I think it's a
You're
wrap,
welcome to
unless there's one
continue
more.
making swords.
No.
I
No.
think that's a very climactic. Like this didn't happen last time. What is this? What is this? What is this? What even
Lobster
is this?
sword.
What is this? This is great.
This is sword apocalypse.
So this has been Sword Loser. Very delightful, tiny little bite-sized game. Here's the description in the back. A casual 20-minute game for players 2 to 5 players 2 to 5. For 2 to 5 players who want to tell anecdotes about Tiggold who really couldn't keep track of his sword if his life depended on it. No offense, Tiggold, but like, come on. You can find these. They're being kickstarted by a very delightful game designer named Jackson Tegu. Go check it out. They're really lovely. They're super great. You can just get the PDF and just cut cards. That's all you need.
I would like to thank all of you for drawing incredibly inspiring swords.
Woo! That was so much fun.
And chat's casual mention of sword door, and I was like, done.
yeah.
Creepy sword door.
This is silly.
I just wanted to make Hodor jokes the whole time.
Hodor jokes. Well, these will all live somewhere now. This is a lot of swords. Okay, I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and then we're gonna set up for the second.
Is this what goes in Future Swords, or what is Future Swords?
Future swords are just the blank pieces of paper. 'Cause
Oh,
they're
Future
to become
Swords.
swords.
They're
Aha!
to become swords.
Swords yet to be.
Yeah.
I understand now.
Swords yet to be.
So the other game we're gonna play is another one, which is Tool User, which I believe can connect into this game.
Yeah, you
but
can.
doesn't have
A
to.
tool can be a sort. It's a fun one. You would like to read the cute little narrative on the
Yeah.
corner while we like figure
Hi, everybody.
sort everything out?
Ahem.
What's your voice?
Clogiel,
That's
we're so
fine.
sad
Don't
you'll
worry
be
about it.
leaving us, says the Chancellor in his robes of coppery red as he stands respectfully back from a large curved doorway of the celebrated machinist's grand personal workshop.
There's a map in there.
Located high in the outer wall of the reliable steam castle. I've come to extend an official fair. Half of his height, the goblin Clogel closes the door in his face. Snobby to the kitchen staff. No word of thanks when I solved the zipline problem. Stay out of my life, pal. Clogel mutters to herself as she crosses the workshop's large central chamber to the crescent balcony. The months have slipped by in work and pleasure, and reliable Steam Castle has once again completed its long circuit of Moreover Forest and the Hopelands, climbing the hills next to the glimmering sea. Gazing from the balcony, Clogel again sees the islands beyond islands, the unknown beckons. She leans on the railings. She looks back into her workshop. It's time to leave this behind. Over her long life, Clogel has worked as a vegetable farmer, a scribe, a falcon trainer, a grave digger, a toy maker, a wizard's fetcher, and a zeppelin mechanic. Among many other things, the tools have piled up. She thinks about her ex-lover Tiggold and how his adherence to the minimalism has helped him remain carefree. All right, tools, Clogel says, walking back inside. You've been amazing. Now let's figure out where you're each going. Should I keep reading?
If you'd like, or you can pass it down.
To play, you'll need 2 to 5 players, including yourself, a table, some chairs, at least 20 minutes that you'll probably want to play for longer, a printout of the map, colorful pencils, an X card, and lots of what we'll call blanks. Blank slips of paper, specifically 1.5 by 5 or 4 centimeters by 12 centimeters. Why, that's half an index card. Probably 30 will be enough, but maybe not. You know, about this big. That big. Place the map later in the book. Oh, on the table. Eventually we'll have a messy pile of tools in the middle of the map. And messy piles of tools sticking out from the edges all the way around. Make sure your table has room for that. Place neat stacks of blanks out from 2 corners of the map. A tray of colorful pencils at the 3rd corner, and an X card at the final corner. Introduce the X card, even if everyone's used one before. Great ideas for how to introduce it can be found on the official X card website, which is online even now. Read the rules aloud together, however that happens.
The X card. This lovely thing right here, which is usually placed in reach of all the players, GM, etc., etc. Even GMs can use this. It is true. It's a tool designed by John Stravolopoulos, and it is at any point in the game, if something makes you uncomfortable, if something's triggering, or something you just do not like, and you just hit X card. You don't even say anything. You hit it, tap it, flip it out, and whatever is said or done before is rewinded. It's out of the game, and you proceed as normal with a different narrative. It's mostly to help with keeping safe spaces and helping with things that where if you've already discussed boundaries or things you don't like, sometimes in the moment things come up, and this is one of the tools to help facilitate navigating those weird gray areas, as it were.
Yeah, it's a wonderful tool. Kind of like Tool User. Wonderful. I've not played it, but I know it's wonderful. Also, I really just want to say that I'm delighted by trying to figure out what this is a picture of. Is it like clamps? Is it, claws?
Clamps.
Is it a nutcracker? The world may never know. All right, the basics. Right? We haven't read this already. Okay. The goal is to have a nice time together. Oh, well, that's already accomplished.
Yay!
Winning!
Yeah. Enjoy listening, enjoy drawing, and tell anecdotes that amuse and amaze the other players. That's literally the entire goal. Well, wonderful. We should all have these goals in our lives all the time. The game is played in turns. A volunteer takes the first turn. Only one person takes a turn at a time, and turns are taken clockwise around the table. Well, we failed at that, and I'm sure we're going to fail.
It's a timeline. It's just a timeline. We're not a clock, we're a timeline.
Yeah.
How do we clockwise in a straight line?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Woo-doo.
I'm too gay to answer that question.
But what about when it's not your turn? Well,
When it's not your turn, you can do both of the following. Listen and illustrate tools. That's right, listen. You'll hear fascinating and funny little stories about Cloggle's adventurous life. Pretty sweet. And illustrate tools. We'll need lots of bad drawings of outlandish tools, nonsensical tools, as well as tools whose purpose seem clear. It's okay to have a few good drawings of tools in the mix, but most drawings should be bad. Don't label the tools you draw, leave them open to interpretation. When you finish a drawing, put it in Cloggle's workshop in the middle.
Cloggle, like you got a clog in your throat.
Cloggle's a workshop in the middle of the map. Yes. I'll read this. Unless we can pass it back to Lauren. Do you want to read
That's
that?
fine.
Cool.
I can keep reading.
And this is how we clockwise a timeline.
Yes.
When it's your turn, stop drawing and do all of the following in this order. Select a tool from those piled in Cloggle's workshop. Describe an anecdote from her life, either with this particular tool or another just like it. What she uses it for, either its intended purpose or something else. Tell us what happens. Speak as all the characters and describe the scene as much or as little as you want. Take only a minute or two to do so. When you're done, place the tool in one of the sections on the map, ringing the sheet. Don't discuss with other players. Whatever choice you make will be correct.
Whoa.
Oh boy. Where to put a tool? How about one of these? In the Supply Guild's tool library for public use. At the Zeppelin hangar. Oh. Give it to Tingled, who is a duelist and minimalist, as well as Klugel's ex-lover. Since Tingled doesn't care much for material things, Klugel has decided to give Tingled only one carefully selected tool. Give it to her friend Augur. Augur is a vegetable farmer, and recently they found a bit of fame as a slayer of giants.
Nice.
She could destroy the tool immediately. She could keep it. She could hide the tool somewhere and maybe decide where she's hiding it or who she hopes will find it. And finally, she could put it in the kitchen, which might be where this tool came from anyway. Ooh.
Cool. Any questions?
Always.
Always.
But I don't know what they are yet.
Actually, let's see. Do we have to read through the... I was half listening. Do we read to the end of this time? There's not. Cool. Listen. Better play. Allow your ideas of Cloggle to be shifted by others' anecdotes. In your own anecdotes, let your present understanding of her personality shine through. Who is the celebrated mechanic? This goblin, this genius of many callings. Sometimes show different sides of her, sometimes show how she's been the same person all along. And hey, anecdotes don't have to be in chronological order. We can hear an anecdote about a tool from Cloggle's younger days after we hear one from earlier this week. A specific clarification. If a player decides to change which tool Cloggle is giving to Tingled, that player also puts the previous tool somewhere else, but not back in the workshop. So you gotta restart where it goes. Gotta mail it back.
So if you want to change what's here, you got to put it somewhere else instead of back in the workshop.
Ending. Maybe your group will slow their tool drawing after a while. Perhaps they'll even finish sorting the pile of tools, but finishing the pile is optional. Cloggle can do the remainder tomorrow without our observation, or perhaps she'll just leave them in the middle of the workshop and let its next occupant deal with them. The game can end whenever the player feels done. Players feel done. Bonus, maybe you'll play Tool User's sibling game, Sword Loser, with this same group of people. If so, put a few beloved or appropriate tools from this game into the sword pool as you start. It's official. Those tools will count as swords. That's the fun replayability of these two games. They're very delightful. Cool. Any questions? I got ready to draw some tools.
I mean, sure.
Cool. Awesome. So she has been everything from, is it vegetable farmer, falconer?
Yeah, she's been
She's been
everything.
everything. Cool. How to survive everything without a spoon? I mean...
I was thinking, so someone asked in chat, I got one question, can this game be improved by the use of alcohol? And I've been thinking this would be excellent for drinking and drawing.
Drinking and drawing, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed by my sobriety all of a sudden.
Who's going to start? Because this one we actually have to go in an order where we're supposed to.
Oh, what?
no.
Oh, God.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, yeah.
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on.
It's okay. When it's your turn, you just pick a tool and describe it and put it somewhere.
don't think this is going to make any real sense.
Doesn't matter.
This is what I've got happening.
Excellent.
Okay. I can start.
Do it.
Oh, she's got a lot. So we see Cloggle. We see the small goblin. She's wandering around her workshop, and she picks up this, and she reminisces for a moment. She says, "Ah, yes, my face poker." Sorry, let me get her voice. "Ah, yes, my face poker. Ah, this is my favorite thing to use. I love this." And so she thinks back to when she built the face poker, and she puts it on either side of her face, and it just goes like this, just boop, 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 boop. She has to like little pedal. There's a little pedal. We can't see the attachment, but this little bike thing she has to affix it to. And she made it. She remembers making it for King Clansald, because King Clansald he never smiled. And he never frowned. He never did anything. They thought he was dead for a while, so they wanted a machine that could see whether or not he was alive. So I made a thing that poked his face, because he didn't like that. And the court jester could just poke his face and get a reaction out of him. And she realizes it was a very specific use function, but there might be some time when someone else needs a face poker, so she puts it in the Supply Guild's tool library for public use in case anyone else needs a face poker. It's really handy. Hey, it's got 2 hands! She makes that joke to herself as she puts it in there. I think we're going clockwise, so it's Steph.
I'll do next
You get to
place.
pick a tool.
Wait, wouldn't?
Old Stoneface King
clockwise, yeah,
Clansald.
clockwise.
Oh, it would be me, I think.
Stoneface Clansald. And the face poker.
So am I just making up any story?
Yeah,
very
yeah.
quickly?
So what's the tool for, and how did she get it, and where's she gonna put it?
Oh.
That's all it is.
One day, a long time ago, she was out in the garden and she noticed that these spiders were making some silk, and it was super strong and catching like surprisingly large things like lizards instead of small things like very tiny flies. So she captured them and she put them in some glasses, and they're forever spitting silk out the sides. And so she's giving them to the Zeppelin hanger so that you can wear them and just tie the silk around their thread. But if there's ever a hole in the Zeppelin, then you can take bits of it and patch up the Zeppelin.
It's very useful.
Cool.
For
Very
Zeppelin
cool.
ears.
Nice. She took one of these lizards and did some taxidermy and used their mouths. They had these really weird, like, oblong shaped mouths, and they can be. She does canning, so they're gonna help her seal of the cans. And she put buttons here and like hold them, and they just like suction and they go and they seal. Yeah, I don't know. It's in her kitchen.
It's in the kitchen. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. What are destroy immediately, keep to auger. Okay. Just poking around the floor, and just like something clatters across. Looks down. It's a ladle. She's thinking. She's like, what? This is a ladle. Where are the keys up there? What was I? Why do I have this? Oh, I had to use the bathroom in that tavern one time, and I just walked away with them because there was something I was going to do with this ladle, and then, it was that night. Oh. Well, maybe I think I'm going to keep this until maybe I remember what I was supposed to do with it.
Oh, it's tool. So she's walking around her workshop before she realizes she's not actually walking around. She's just been staying in one spot the whole time, and looks down and finds herself on this sort of track. She's like, oh, that's right. This was the exercise wheel that I made for the palace hamsters. And it's just a wheel that they walk on and then they power things with. And actually, she remembers this was directly connected to the face poker because at some point they needed to power it, and so this little wheel that the hamsters live on, it's also covered in hamster poop right now, is related to the face poker. So she puts that also in the supply guild's tool library because I mean you can't have the face poker without its power supply. The hamster wheel. Or hamster track.
So one time she was trying to design a better stethoscope to help people. So this is a stethoscope that can also open your chest so you can do heart surgery. But it didn't go as planned. So she's given it to Augur, the giant slayer, so that she can sneak up on giants pretending to be a doctor. I don't know.
That was perfect. Oh my god.
Oh no! Oh no! Sad. Not that sad.
I'm gonna let someone else tell the story of this though. Sticking with the theme of kitchen appliances, she always just found corkscrews to be really useless. Like the cork would always break off inside, so she decided to create sentient corkscrews that could like wind down and like get the tails all the way at the bottom of the cork and then help pull it up. And you know, just like anything you put into a kitchen drawer, it gets all tangled up. And so she had 2 of them and they got all tangled up in each other. And she can't seem to get them undone and also can't open the drawer. They're just in there in her kitchen, unable to be used.
The helicopter. The helicopter. Now, Clogo thought this was really funny. Though it was originally for a sentimental gesture, if you will. So she hated the Chancellor. It's like, oh, this guy, what an ass. Never smiles. Always just can never get a good joke. Tells jokes, laughs at them himself, and that's it. Like, what an ass. So, to give him a taste of an actual joke, his poor cat passed away. His darling McNubbins is his cat. Properly buried him away in the courtyard, a little tiny mound in a grave. And Clougle that night went out, dug him up. I was like, oh, it's gonna be a great gift. I'm gonna do this. He's gonna love this. It's gonna be great. So she does some taxidermy. So she has some experience with the little lizard can sealers, and she makes a drone and flies it up to his window, and she got a kick out of it, but he definitely didn't. And it's just been collecting dust on the bottom of her floor, and she tests it out and it flies around. It still flies around perfectly fine. It's just like, oh yeah, this clearly goes in the Zeppelin hangar. Those guys will have a field day with this.
So, Cloggle is actually pretty short. She's a goblin, and she's had a lot of assistants in her time. She's had different people in her workshop helping her, and she would get really, really tired because they would always do this thing like, "Oh, you're too short. Can I reach that for you? I'll just take that off. I'll get that for you." It's too, when she's trying to reach things, and so she got really mad. So she made a grabby hand so that every time they said that, she could, from wherever she was in the workshop, she could pinch them and tell them to stop as a form of training. She didn't make it for the purpose of reaching things off of tall shelves, but she did make it for the purpose of telling people off. And so she looks at it very fondly as she is probably reaching for something and someone in the workshop says, "Oh, can I help you with that?" And she turns around and extendo clamp pinches them, and then they immediately stop. And so she's like, this she's keeping.
Oh.
Butt pincher.
The butt pincher.
Yeah, she turns around and pinches someone.
Oh my gosh. What are crocodile pajamas? They're great.
What?
It's whatever you want it to be.
This is Cloggle's fan art. She thinks socks are very beautiful, and she decided to hide it somewhere because it's her little, dirty little secret. Doesn't want anyone to know about.
Gosh. All right. She also really likes to be stylish, and so she likes gator, the leather, and she also wants to have dancing legs, but she doesn't. She can't sing about her dancing legs, so she makes these magic long johns that she can put on. Gator garters, and then she can go, "I got dancing legs, woo!" And she also hides them somewhere.
Do they dance on their own accord sometimes?
Yes, and she doesn't want anyone to know that she's also a deep and abiding fan of all forms of dance. Especially modern, expressive, avant-garde dance. She doesn't want, and no one needs to see that.
What are these? Are these eyeballs? So, secret side of Klongle. So she's really into avant-garde dancing, avant-garde furniture, avant-garde lights and lampstands. And she got this. Let's see. There was this weird festival that was in town. This is a tool. Let's see. And she, just wandering around town, bought this thing because it looked really cool. When she brought it home, it started doing some weird stuff. For one, it would light it. She never had to plug it in, and it would just light. It was turn on. It would just turn on whenever it needed to, whenever she wanted. She just had to think it, and all of a sudden it's boom. There's this lovely warm light all around her studio. It was great. There was no hassle. She was already busy enough trying to make things and sort out her studio anyway, and just make all the things that she's supposed to be doing for the kingdom. And and at night, sometimes you would hear the small phrase, "Open the door, open the door." And she actually found it really soothing. And she just kept it around because it helped her sleep at night. Sometimes it was really, really, really late nights working on things, and she would just sleep in her workshop. Now that she's leaving onto bigger, better things, she's gonna hide it somewhere. Just because the thought of someone waking up in the middle of the night to open the door is gonna make it really funny. Oh no. Y'all appreciate this. This is great. This is just great.
Just, oh no.
Look, I'm here for the stories. I'm not here for the providing of art. So she was instructed at one point by King Stoneface. King Stoneface was like, I really like chewing gum. Make me some gum that never ends. And she's like, okay, I'll make you some gum that you can never stop chewing. And so she created, one may call it everlasting gum. Others might call it a cursed object. But one single piece of this gum will never, you are actually physically incapable of stopping the chewing process, whether you want to or not. And so she's gonna destroy this immediately. It's not safe for human or inhuman. That's actually how the king died. Oh dear, she says as she drops it into the furnace.
Oh.
It was really awkward. That's why I left that job. Don't know why I kept this around for so long.
This is a letter moistener. And she's giving it to Tingle, and she says, "You better write me." So it's to like moisten stamps and letters to make it easier for him to send her letters.
Oh.
Can also sign with a kiss, you know.
Seal it with a kiss.
So similar to when she got mad about people making fun of her, not making fun of her, but just remarking on her height so regularly that she got the little grabber thing, she also made herself a periscope. So that, because she wants to be able to look people in the eyes. And she doesn't want people to see her whole face, so when they're looking in the mirror that's inside right here, all they can see is her eyes, and they're really intense. And she's also got a second little window here so that she can see what's directly in front of her so she doesn't fall. This is based off of a thing I actually made once in real life. And it was adjustable. It can go up and down so you can look anybody dead in the eyes. It's great. Not intimidating at all. And she's going to keep this forever. Forever.
Congo one day thought it would be really funny to make a pair of boss pants. And these are, so the secret, boss pants. So the secret is that you just put they're just called boss pants. You actually put them on, don't put your feet through them. You put them on your head. That's how everybody knows that you are the boss. And she found that she tinkered around for a while with some weird powder, some weird magic. This is something she usually messes with. And so she wore it around one day. It's like, I'm the boss.
I mean, everyone was calling me Bossy Pants.
Bossy Pants. So I made some bossy pants. And at first it was like, whatever, sure. And at the end of every sentence, say, whatever you say, boss. And that was it the entire day. And it was great for a little bit. She's like, oh yeah, boss, yeah, you're going to do what I say. And it got really annoying. It got really, really, really annoying because no one would stop saying that. Everyone would say that. that. And even the kitchen staff, and she never wanted that. Like, no, you're my friend. So I was like, and so she just have all these memories, holding these in her hand, just throws it like, no, and just, this can't exist anymore. And she throws it into the fire.
Oh.
Boss pants and
Boss
gum.
pants are gone.
So she finds these
Oh my god.
strange runic blocks. They seem to have sides with different symbols on them, and they come in these geometric shapes. She sort of like holds them up in her hand and like shakes them a little bit, drops them on the table, and shakes them and drops them on the table, and just looks at them and she's like, I don't have any idea what you would do with these strange polyhedral shapes. What would, with the runes on the sides? What would I use these for? They serve absolutely and utterly no purpose. These are the most useless thing I have ever created. What would I want to do? Randomize something by throwing them somewhere?
Well, feelings.
She just throws them into the fire. Ugh, these are stupid.
I'm proud. I'm so proud.
Cursed geometric shaped polyhedrals.
With numbers on them.
Strange runes.
Yes.
I feel like I'm kind of frozen.
Oh, it's okay.
You can
You
pass.
pass.
I think
Someone
I'll
else can
pass.
go. Okay.
I think I'll pass this one.
All right. She realizes that because she's kind of short, it takes her a little while to get around everywhere, and she doesn't want to just like have a scooter or something like that she has to then carry around. And rollerblades are kind of annoying because she can't really walk with them. So she gets this idea for shoes with.
There was this one rollerblade she ordered from online, and it was way too literal.
Yes, it was very scary, and she's just like, who made this? What is wrong with them?
They never heard.
Only realized it's her ex-boyfriend, and she's like, oh yeah, of course he's the one who made this. So she makes something, and she calls them heelies, because they got one wheel in the heel, and you can like push it back inside there, and they're not wheelies, they're heelies. And then she realized that these are awful, and she doesn't want anyone to see them because she realizes children everywhere will want them and be annoying forever, so she immediately destroys them. Immediately. No chance for anyone to use them. And everywhere, happy cries of retail workers just spread across the globe.
So, this is one of Kagha's inventions during one of her strange fever dreams, and this is called the nope rope. And she was looking through her journal one day and just saw like nope rope. Oh, that's funny. Oh wait, what if I made a made a rope that I could just tie around things, and suddenly someone would just have the feeling of just absolute and complete utter fear. Yes, terror. That would be great. And so she devised this little, this piece. First it started off as some string. She tied it around a beaker, around the pet fish. What is her pet fish's name? Its name is Bo. Bo the fish. I was like, here, Bo, you're gonna be my first experiment. And she tied it down, and she had never seen this fish more terrified, ever. Frozen in its place, literally, with an expression of fear. And in all of her excitement, she forgot that she tied the string there and left it there, and went on inventing a bunch of stuff. And she just remembered, oh, Bo, I'm so sorry. Oh, Bo, I should, how long have you been there? Oh, I should just get rid of this. So she gets rid of the rope, but keeps Bo. Right? Like, I think that's what happens in that story, I guess. That's where that goes.
Good.
And Bo's happy now.
Awesome. So she I'll do the double brush. After the prolific pinching of her assistants for calling her out for being short, or not calling her out, but just calling her short, and maybe her response wasn't the most mature. She had a period of time where it was actually pretty hard for her to get an assistant. She would just try really, really hard, and people would just be like, no, I don't want to work with you. So then one day she read this book, and she got an inspiration from this book, and she's like, what if I just trick people into helping me? Rather than actually hiring them, I just make them do it with trickery. So she starts by getting this double-ended paintbrush that she's like, I will convince them. It's really efficient. And she finds this young boy and convinces him to paint her fence. But 2 fences at the same time, because I have got double a paintbrush. It'll be twice as fast if you use this. And that is the story of how she had the assistant, Tom Sawyer. But, then he was really annoying and he called me short, so I pinched him and he ran away. And it wasn't actually as good of a paintbrush as she thought it would be, because it turns out painting 2 things at a time was kind of difficult. So she decides to, I think she probably, she doesn't want to destroy it immediately. She's like, you know what? I'll give it to the Zeppelin people. They want it. It might be useful for them. That's where Tom works now. So she puts it in the Zeppelin hangar.
Maybe y'all get a kick out of it.
What all the things are.
Oh my god, the nose.
Kind of forgot what a nose looked like halfway through drawing that. I was like, what? And then I looked around and I'm like, ah.
I think it's a pretty good nose, but the mustache is a weird spot.
These are string.
I know.
I don't understand sarcasm. Hashtag ADHD life.
It's okay.
I guess so. For a while, she was dabbling in potions making, but it didn't go so well, so she sort of gave up. But she decided she still needed like all these frogs, and she built this device to kind of like send them to her potions lab like as quickly as possible. But having given up on potions, now she just sends them to her kitchen to eat them. And that's why it's a very sad little frog.
Oh no!
No.
Oh no!
So she invents a truly universal remote that can be connected to anything. As you just gotta do the right incantations, and it can be for anything. And she does it for a really charitable purpose, so that parents can take their kids around and not have it be miserable when their kids are screaming. And the best function is you can put your kid on vibrate, so they'll be silent.
There's silent mode.
Yeah, instead of screaming at a restaurant, they're just vibrating. And you can make them go to sleep, and you can pause them. So if they're telling a really, really long and involved story, and you're like, geez, I need a second because I can't follow any of this, and what? You can just hit the pause. Just hit the pause. And you can, like, pre-program some things with your DVR. They will eat peas at 7 o'clock. Very useful. This is going to go into the public use.
Dangerous.
Good.
Mostly because she
gosh.
wants other people's kids to be less annoying. She doesn't have kids.
No time. So this. Stoneface, King Stoneface. Is it Stoneface?
Oh, good old Stoneface.
Stoneface. So tired of up cooking that lawn. Oh my god, he would not stop talking about it. He couldn't convince people to stay and cut the lawn. Why can't you just get someone to cut the lawn or just cut it yourself? I don't understand. Kings, whatever. Chewing gum, poke my face. And so, she decided, fine, you can commission me to help you out. I'm gonna need that Roomba you've got right there, though. He's like, what? Why do you need a Roomba? You know what? No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Just take it. Just make sure my lawn is constantly, perfectly groomed. And she wound up talking with one of her wizard friends, old, let's see, it's a funny wizard name. Forklift. Wizard named Forklift, spelled with a Y. And
In the word fork.
the word fork.
Yeah.
Duh. It's there. It's silent, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's magic. It's like, hey, you know, like, I have this idea in my head, but like, I can't actually build it with machine building. Like, can you get me the head of an actual horse and have it keep being, you know, alive? He's like, what? And Forklift's been used to these questions ever since that last, so that one, let's see, what's an invention that she would have come to him? Ever since that sentient trash compactor, it's like, you know what? No questions. Nope. This is what happens when I work with Cloggle. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get it for you. Gets his horse, puts it on top of the Roomba. It's like, here you go, Stoneface. I got you a lawnmower. And he's just like, what? No. And he almost, for the first time in decades, showed an expression, but no one could tell if it was horror, surprise, or glee. And because they couldn't figure out, they kept it around. And so now it's kind of Roomba around the entire complex, just hanging about. Until he got rid of the lawn and paved it away with a bunch of, what would he do?
Did he replace it with rain-friendly plants?
Yes, he did.
Made a rain garden?
He made a rain garden, and he's like, well, I don't need this anymore. He's like, I guess it'll just live here then. And has been eating away scraps, and she's going to public use it. Has a mind of its own. It'll figure it out. York Lift. Thank you, Iffy.
So one day,
Pillow bottle.
it actually happened when she was really young. She lost her nose in a tragic lawnmower-related accident, which is why she didn't invent an actual lawnmower, because she doesn't like lawnmowers. So Cloggle, being the creative inventor that she was, realized that most of the time a sense of smell is not actually that important, but every so often, as an inventor, you need to smell what you're working on. You know, you gotta do a sniff test, make sure it's fine. And so she created a fake nose, a temporary nose that she could put on to give herself a sense of smell. But she actually prefers the noseless life. It's easier, especially while she was dating Tickled, and his house smelled and no one could figure out why. It was just a lot easier that she didn't have to smell that. So I think she's gonna have to keep it because she probably will occasionally still need to sniff things. And people give her a hard time for not having a nose.
Yeah, when she goes to really fancy parties, she brings it out too.
So she can smell the wine.
And just not upset people.
And not upset.
So this is a whisper jar. And initially it was, she invented it so that you could kind of like whisper things you just couldn't keep to yourself inside of it. But what it turned into over time was more of a like screaming jar. So it's a jar filled with her screams, and the pillows are to sort of pat it so that the glass doesn't shatter. And she's giving it to the Zeppelin hanger as sort of a backup so that they can open it and create wind like in one big blast.
But they're screaming.
But it's going to be very loud, so only in emergency situations
Emergency only.
that don't require stealth.
That's amazing.
This is great.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about
Oh,
now.
cool. Great.
Yeah. So, she likes to wear big flopsy hats because, you know, she doesn't want to get completely baked by the sun, and also doesn't want people staring at her noseless face when she goes out. But she also really likes to talk to herself and come up with new ideas, and she doesn't always want to write them down, and she's tired of forgetting them. So she invents a sentient hat that can be a note taker for her. And it also has the glaring face she would be making if people could see her. And she's just gonna keep that. She's gonna keep it.
So this is Clougle's good old remote controlled pet rock. And a little light on it, so in case like you go on walks at night, you don't lose it. Because God, you don't ever want to lose your pet rock in the dark. It sucks. Yeah, it's a keeper. It's a keeper.
Absolutely.
It's a remote controlled pet rock. No, not destroy. The destroy pile's right next to the keep.
Don't get those confused.
It's okay.
Okay, it's very awkward. She's just wandering around the shop, picking up stuff, keeping things, and she's like, "A vacuum cleaner? Why would I want one of these?" And she destroys it
immediately.
It's useless. It's not even sentient.
Would we like to maybe draw at least one more and then wrap the room?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
You can draw one more. Draw the last one, and we'll wrap with those.
Or tell your last.
Tell your last. Oh, wow. So absolute.
This is her night whistle.
For which she's taking her pet rock on walks.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
sometimes Rocky really rolls away, so the only way to find him is like with a flashlight. But her flashlight is sort of a safety device, so the harder you blow on the whistle, the brighter the light gets. So she uses it to call him, but if he won't come, it just gets like really, really bright. It really lights everything up, and her neighbors aren't fans, and she's gonna keep it because she needs to find a rock.
Sometimes it's really hard for her sentient hat to see what it's writing because of how bright it is out, and she's like, it's sentient, so it should be able to feel comfortable in the sun. So she makes an even smaller hat for her hat to wear. She wanted to make sure people knew how dangerous she was, because she might look ridiculous wearing two hats. So she makes sure there's a bone and a little sword on there, throw back to her time with Tiggold, and also it screams at people. It insults people. That's what these little lines are. If they get too close, it's got like a beeper warning sensor thing, but it's just insults. It's a keeper.
This is known as the endless faucet of. It's called the endless faucet, and all you'd ever have to do is you put a drink or an object straight into the bowl. It goes through it, just goes into a hatch, and it closes up. And whatever it is, the machine will mimic the chemical or whatever it's made of forever until something else gets put in there. So this is their favorite thing, just to get juice, and sometimes there's just a little bit of wine, that vintage that never will get made again. Guess what? Clougle has got a bunch of it forever. And I think she's going to give this to the kitchen. Because God knows, they need all the help they can get. God, that's an amazing cake.
It's a really good cake.
The sound that they make. Open the door.
Tempting. So she constructs a pair of goggles, but so little known fact about her friend Augur. Her friend Augur has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eyes. And it's really complicated to make eyes or goggles for 7 eyes, but she does it. So Cloggle is like, oh, I was supposed to give these to whoopsie daisy. I hope Augur's still alive. Because Augur was about to go on a giant hunting mission when she commissioned these goggles, and they're special night vision magnification. You know, they've got giant hunting goggles. And Augur, so Cloggle sends them off to Augur. Hopefully, Augur is still alive to get them.
It was delightful.
I guess she was worried about her friend being alive or not. And figured if she was alive and she was upset about things, she'd make her a birthday cake, but she hadn't made one before, so she actually made birthday snakes.
Cake, not snakes.
And you have to be careful because one of them is venomous.
But only one of them.
Only one.
One of them's poisonous.
Yes.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it, so it's going to Augur. And I hope that's
Hopefully he's still alive.
I hope she's still alive and not mad.
If not, maybe the cake will eat her body.
Oh, well, that's very delightful. Thank you. It was a really, really different kind of game. So, what are feelings? Do you feel about these games?
I definitely think this would be a great drink and imbibe altering substances game. Drink and imbibe, no, draw and imbibe altering substances, not drinking. Yeah. I just really want to party, apparently.
Yep. I like telling the stories because I'm more personally self-conscious about my art skills, but I like making up dumb stories or silly stories or creepy stories.
Yeah, it's fun. I really like making an item and having someone that's ridiculous and having someone else tell the story.
I think that's my favorite part, is seeing what the add-tos
Yeah.
are. It's really good.
Yeah, I like Pet Rock was great. I was like, oh, I know what that is. Remote control Pet Rock. I think I would like to play Tool User not after Sword User because they're very different story making. Like the story mechanics are very different, but it's really fascinating because like it's kind of the same idea. I would love Tool User. I would love Tool User separate from. I would love playing Tool User first and seeing what happens. I did Sword User first because that was the game that I first played, and it was just like this very lovely, simple game, and I loved it. Tool User is just like I would love to play this. I would probably play it again, just to have like a different my mind in a different place and a different way of structuring stories, right? Because the items kind of come and go, whereas this one was like, oh, I don't get to move them again. Right, and so it becomes a story. The important part isn't like how often or where it goes or where it moves. It becomes what is the anecdote. So you get to take a little longer and talk about the entire span as opposed to a small thing and having someone else build upon it. This is more about you building something together with people. So this is very different. Loved it. It was great. Once I think I was into the groove of like, oh wait, like simpler is better, or like two combinations of simple things. You're just like, what is this? Like, what is that? That's great. You know, Roomba horse or something. Yeah.
Horseba.
Horseba. Nayeth, said the horseba.
Oh no.
We mow my lawn. Nayeth.
Where can people find this game if they are interested in acquiring their own version of it?
Well, yeah, go check out the Kickstarter. It's definitely linked on the tweet that we have. Follow us on Geek Space TV, BT Dubs, on Twitter and on Twitch. You'll definitely know when we're going to be streaming next. The Kickstarter is being run by Jackson Tegu, the creator of these two very lovely games. In addition, he's offering up at least like 7 other games at a certain tier, and it's so worth it. Like these games are so small, very fun. They're just very different and very approachable. They're just very fun to play, and it's just kind of brings back for me personally like the reasons why I do tabletop is to tell stories with people. And this is really, really lovely. I'll just check out the Kickstarter. It's delightful. Jackson Tegu is a delightful human. Just support him and follow him. He's great. Yeah.
Should we do sign-offs?
Yeah.
I can go first because I gotta.
Yeah, you gotta go run and do the thing.
To do the button. I'm Random Tuesday. You can find me here on Geekspace on Wednesday night with another episode of Worlds Beyond, or follow me at Random Tuesday in all of the places. I'm going to now leave the screen to go to the buttons.
I keep looking at the preview screen. I'm like, where's Lauren? Because I put the
I
post-it.
keep
I'm
doing
thinking,
it
like,
too.
where's Lauren? Oh God.
I'm over here now.
Oh, we're all signing off.
Signing off,
I
yes.
see ya. I'm
We're the
Katie
distraction.
Hargrove, and you can find me on Twitter at Katie Hargrove. It's like very straightforward.
My name's Aria. You can find me on Twitter at Genki Soda, and it's fun, and I post memes and rants and, I don't know, feelings, and I invite conversation, and we can bond and have friendship that lasts forever, and it's wonderful. At least that's what I hope.
It exists in the vastness of the infinite space of the internet.
Yes. It's we all shout out into the void and see if anyone's listening. It's great.
And the whispers back.
Yes. What about you? Who are you?
I'm Steph. You can find me at Starfruit Junkie on the internet. I will be back in the future very soon, very, 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 very soon on the Expanse RPG that will be happening on this very lovely channel. So, buckle ups. Pucker your cheeks and buckle up. Good night, everyone.